This is All India Radio. In Spotlight tonight, we bring you a special program, Operation Searchlight, the untold story on the occasion of Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh Liberation War.
March 1971 was the darkest day in the history of Bangladesh Liberation War. Pakistani army triggered heinous ethnic cleansing on that fateful night in what is known as Operation Searchlight. Unleashing death squads, mercilessly killed 7,000 unarmed innocent Bengalis in one single night. 40,000 Pakistani soldiers, backed by armor and artillery division, were deployed to accomplish the genocide. Muhammadpur, Nakhalpada, Rajarbagh and other locations in different sections of the city only to be executed en masse. Professor Muntazir Mamoon, chairman of the 1971 Genocide Torture Archives Museum in Khulna city, told All India Radio that more than 3 million people were killed in that period.
The genocide and torture carried out by the Pakistani army 50 years back and their collaborators during the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971, the then Pakistan, can hardly be compared with any other genocide in the world. After the Second World War, such a number of people have never been killed together, nowhere in the world but in Bangladesh, within just 9 months. In just 9 months, the Pakistan army and their collaborators killed more than 3 million people. The official number is 3 million, but more than 3 million people were killed and more than 5 lakh women were raped.
So, what was the backdrop? In the Pakistan national elections of December 1970, the Awami League had received the majority of votes and won an overwhelming victory across Bengali territory. Taken aback by the development on February 22, 1971, the military generals in West Pakistan took the decision to crush the Awami League and its supporters. It was recognized from the outset that a genocidal campaign would be necessary to eradicate the threat of Bengalis demanding basic democratic and human rights.
The Pakistani dictator General Yahya Khan hashed the plot of genocide on 22nd March. Lieutenant General Tikka Khan, the butcher of Bangladesh, was given the charge of execution. Major General Rao Farman Ali and Khadi Hassan Raza drew the plans on that very day. President General Yahya Khan told his officers, quote, "Kill 3 million of them, the rest will eat out of our hands," unquote. At the very onset of the day, when Yahya Khan's troops moved into Dhaka, all foreign newsmen and correspondents were quarantined. There was a complete blackout of news. Even the Dhaka radio station was closed and no news would be broadcast to the outer world.
On the eve of this genocidal campaign, then President Yahya Khan left Dhaka for Karachi, but Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then President of Pakistan's People's Party, casually observed the operation from the balcony of his luxurious presidential suite at the Hotel Intercontinental, Dhaka. He saw Dhaka burn in front of his very eyes. heard the helpless cries of innocent civilians, the crackle of burning materials, the roar of tanks, the boom of guns, and the rattle of machine guns. Yet, the very next day, Bhutto, on the eve of his departure, highly appreciated the action by the army and commented, "Thanks to God that Pakistan could have been saved." Captain Shahabuddin Ahmed, former member of Mukti Bahini, said, "The Pakistan Army's premeditative attack on unarmed civilians in Dhaka on 25th March spared no one."
We got one information that Pakistan was ready to create problem on 18th of March. The killing, the one they did it on 25th March. It was supposed to start on 18th of March night. And 25th of March, President Yahya of Pakistan, he left Dhaka, and we saw with our own eyes that he is leaving. Flight took off. That night, 25th March, lot of killing. Whole Dhaka city was full of fire. People were crying for saving their life, but nobody was there to help the innocent people. The Pakistanis during this period create such a havoc on the unarmed people. They are not human beings.
The prime targets of Operation Searchlight were the Dhaka University teachers and students, the lifeblood of the resistance movement, who were exterminated in large numbers. The Pakistan Army sought out those especially likely to join the resistance, young boys. The next morning, bodies of young men would be found in fields, floating down rivers, or near army camps. On 7th October 1971, some army officers raided Rokeya Hall Girls' Hostel. The soldiers broke open the doors, dragged the girls out and stripped them before raping and torturing them in front of the helpless superintendent. The entire incident was so blatantly and openly done without any provocation that even the Karachi-based newspaper Dawn had to publish the story, violating censorship by the military authorities. Male students were lined outside their dorms and shot execution-style in batches, while others were made to dig mass graves and bury their newly deceased friends. After their job was done, they too were shot to death and buried on top of their friends. Describing the barbarism by Pakistan Army, the former Mukti Bahini fighter Rokeya Kabir said mass graves were dug by the army where people, dead or alive, were hastily buried and later bulldozed.
We went towards Jagannath Hall and then we found a newly buried, it is like not a grave, it is like a, where some people's hands, some people's leg were, and then from Rokeya Hall to Medical College and Hospital to see the situation. We went there, and then in the footpath we saw dead bodies. Over there, lot of dead bodies inside the hospital and outside the gate of the hospital. So that atrocities.
Anthony Mascarenhas, a British journalist based in Pakistan, was the first to break the news of the Bengali genocide in international media. Reported a Pakistani army major telling him, "This is a war between the pure and the impure. The people here may have Muslim names and call themselves Muslims, but they are Hindu at heart. We are now sorting them out. Those who are left will be real Muslims. We will even teach them Urdu." Bangladeshi freedom fighter Firdausi Priyabhashini shares her ordeal during her captivity in Pak concentration camp.
সহসাই ঝড়ের মুখে পড়েছিলাম এবং আমি সেখানে আমার বয়স তখন 23 বছর। আমি এই যুদ্ধের কবলে যে কোনো ভাবে আমি একা হয়ে পড়েছিলাম। এই একা হয়ে পড়ার কারণেই আমি
I was in a storm-like situation. I was 23 years old then, and I was tortured by the Pakistani army and by the local collaborators who helped the Pakistani soldiers trap me. One day, an army personnel took me in a van and I was gang raped. I was violated brutally. I was begging them to let me go, but they later took me to a concentration camp. It was a place like hell. I saw many women without clothes over there. I can't explain exactly and accurately how many times I was tortured during the 9 months I was there.
অনেক কষ্টে যখন কনসেন্ট্রেশন ক্যাম্পে আমাকে একেবারেই ফাইনালি নিয়ে যাওয়া হলো, ওখানে যাওয়াতে আমি বুঝলাম যে এটা বিভৎস জায়গা, বিভৎস।
Expressing his disappointment, the renowned Bangladeshi historian Muntazir Mamoon says that in spite of the overwhelming evidence, footage of the killings, the mass graves, innumerable eyewitness accounts and their factual coverage by foreign journalists during 1971, the Bangladeshi genocide has still not been recognized as such by the United Nations. Even more repulsively, the Pakistani government, far from issuing an official apology, continues to deny that such atrocities even occurred, going as far as showing solidarity for the war criminals of 1971 and shielding them from prosecution.
Still, Bangladesh has not yet been able to gain international recognition of the genocide committed in 1971. Nobody supported us, only India and Soviet Union supported us. So, the genocide, you see, victory was ours, no doubt about it. But they suppressed genocide and genocide incidents, killing fields, torture cell and mass graves. So that's why we thought we should have a genocide museum so that people know what Pakistani soldiers did to Bangladeshi people and their local perpetrators.
All India Radio from Kolkata provided a helping hand in bringing to the fore the brutal killings of innocent civilians in the then East Pakistan in 1971 and in the wake of Operation Searchlight. The stories narrating the woes of the people were broadcast in Bangla and told in other languages to the people across the globe.
পাকিস্তানি ফৌজের এই নৃশংস আক্রমণে বাংলার মাটি হয়ে উঠল লাল। কত মা সন্তান হারা হলেন, স্বামী হারা হলেন, কত স্ত্রী, কত নিরপরাধ শিশু হল নিঃস্ব সর্বহারা। পাকিস্তানি বর্বরতার এমনই এক সাক্ষী ছোট্ট মেয়ে। আসবার সময় আমরা যখন বেরোই তখন আমার ভাইজানকে আব্বুকে খুঁজে খুঁজে মেরেছে, চাকু দিয়ে মেরেছে আর লঙ্কা।
চেঙ্গিস খানকে লজ্জা দেওয়া এইসব অত্যাচার আর বর্বরতার কাহিনী ভারতের জনগণকে আলোড়িত করল।
All India Radio pays heartfelt tributes to the patriotic martyrs on the 50th anniversary of the struggle for independence of Bangladesh. The sacred memory of the millions who were slain but not silenced, the glorious sacrifices enabled the birth of the great nation of Bangladesh. Their valor will continue to inspire future generations to fight injustice. In the words of Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind, quote, "How many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry?"
How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Yes, and how many years must one man have before he can hear a people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows too many people have died?
You were listening to a special program, Operation Searchlight, The Untold Story on the occasion of Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh Liberation War. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio.